With Rick Santorum in a moment. First, for more on last night's primaries per se, I'm joined by Craig Crawford, politics blogger at craigcrawford.com and author of The Politics of Life. Good evening, Craig.
Let's just call Michigan sudden death for Republicans. It was a tie.
It was a tie. Why can't anybody say it was a tie? I mean, I know why Romney can't say it was a tie, but I mean, in the newscasts and the political punditry and everything in print and everything online and everything analyzed, it was a tie. Wasn't it?
I mean, Romney went further than some of the commentators on discounting his own victory, saying he didn't win by a lot, but he won by enough. The problem is, Keith, this always happens in every presidential campaign. The media has such a difficult time when the race shifts from playing checkers to playing chess. We're not covering checkers anymore. It's not about media momentum and popular vote victory. It's about counting delegates, and that's where we are now, and it's always tough for the media to make that transition.
You know, this is why when people ask me about covering sports as opposed to politics, this is the one thing I always point out. This is literally the example I give, that in sports you have a number and another number, and that means one guy won and the other guy didn't win, and if they're the same number, it means it's a tie. But you cannot convey this to political, quote-unquote, experts. All right, I'll stop.
But at least you have overtime in sports. We don't get that in politics. Let's go back to Michigan and try again.
Oh, we have overtime in the Republican primary process. We know that. We have lots of overtime to play. Again, last night, the consensus was if Romney did not win the popular vote by 4 or 5, that it augured poorly for him, not just because it would mean a split delegate count, which it did, but in other ways. He didn't win by 4 or 5. We know that much. How poorly does this augur for him going forward?
Well, I never bought the argument that if he lost Michigan, he's out of the race, right, or if he wins Michigan, he clinches the nomination. It's just not that simple. But it is true when you look at these numbers. This was an embarrassing victory if it was a victory for him, because this was his native state. He won it by a third of what he won it in the 2008 campaign against McCain, and look at all the money and effort and organization and everything else. They put all their marbles in this state, and this is all they could come up with. A margin, by the way, statewide, that was, you look at the county that he came from in Michigan, that's where he got that margin, the county that he was born in, and so this is not a big momentum victory for him.
In looking at the exit polls, the Santorum victory with the can I ever say the word plurality of voters he had more than the other guy who made less than $100,000 a year, and Romney got the same with those making more than $100,000 a year. Does that change the campaign narratives going forward, and does that necessarily stick to either one of them if they get the nomination?
Well, now we know what Romney's base is, the managerial class of Republicans who can lay off people, voters who can lay off people. That's who identify with Mitt Romney. Mm-hmm. And the argument that Santorum keeps making, that he pitching the middle class, he is winning that among that income group at least.
There was some expectation that perhaps at some point in the near future people would start to shake out, that this would be a 2-man race or a 3-man race in the very near future. Did you see anything last night that suggests that's imminent?
Yeah, I think that's one impact of the super PACs, is that candidates can stay in the race as long as they've got rich guys, sugar daddies, to keep them going beyond when they would normally have to drop out. They can just keep on going. And we are heading into these proportional allocation of delegate states. There are only 4 states left that are winner take all, with a little over 100 delegates to offer combined. So we are entering a period where all these candidates, if they keep getting the money flow, can keep getting delegates. Not enough to win the nomination, but enough to stay in the game. And if they win enough states, I believe it's 5 in the Republican Party, which Santorum's right on that, they can have their names put up for nomination on the ballot at the convention. So I think they have every incentive to keep doing that. Plus, they just hate Romney. That's become very obvious. I mean, that's
because he can't tell the difference between a win and a tie.
Right.
Enough of that. Craig Crawford, politics blogger at craigcrawford.com, author of The Politics of Life. Many thanks as always.
Good to be here.
Now